Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic. And today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 8, the season finale. I'm assuming series finale also, because this doesn't really feel like a multiple season kind of show of Peacock's Miss Davis. While this finale didn't have like big, huge, flashy moments, I like the endings that we got for each of our main characters, as well as the show's commentary on religion. You know, I said, I think fairly early that I thought this show was working up to some sort of interesting commentary on religion, and we do get that in this episode. It's not something that I think I find to be particularly profound, but it's also something that like a conclusion, not a conclusion, but a place that I arrived at a point in my life a real long time ago, because I've spent a lot of time in here thinking about religion. My grandmother was a pastor. I grew up in the church. I am staunchly atheist now. So to get from where I started to where I am, there's a lot going on in here about religion. Where this episode, I think what this episode and this show I think is trying to tell us about religion is a place that I arrived at when I was a teenager. But it's still, I think, a very I almost feel bad saying that. That sounds mean. Like the place that Damon Lindelof arrived at in 2023, I arrived at in 1997. But I don't want to come off that way. But I mean, it's the truth. But anyway, but I love the uniqueness of this show. How it always went for the wildest thing possible and somehow always managed to make it work, have it make sense, and or just be flat out fucking hilarious. I thought this show was a great time. It's not gonna be for everyone, which is fine, but I thought it was creative. I thought it was fun. I thought it had a lot of interesting things to say. Like, it was just one of those things where I looked forward to watching it every week, thinking like, what the fuck is this show gonna do this week? And you know, I don't know where it's gonna land, but I feel fairly confident in saying this show is likely gonna land in my top 10 for 2023. Worst case scenario, it'll be an honorable mention. But if it doesn't make the top 10, man, that means we're gonna have a really good fucking back half of the year. So we're going to talk about how Simone and Wiley's stories end, as well as how I feel about those endings. And I want to start with Simone. We opened the episode in 2013, and a woman named Joy is pitching the concept of Miss Davis. Now, I recognize this actress who played Joy from Why the Last Man, which was a show that was mediocre. I didn't even finish it because it got canceled before I finished it, and I'm just like, well, if it's canceled, why am I gonna keep watching it? But she was pretty good in it. Her character was like one of those annoying, angry people all the time. Like, why are you just always angry? I don't like characters like that. Even though one might argue they're modeled after me, but I don't know. Her character's just all right. But I liked her in this. The point of this scene where we meet her is just essentially so we can hear this impassioned pitch. It's gonna come back later, and we can hear essentially what her goal was in pitching the idea of Miss Davis. So we cut the present day, and Simone is now at Joy's house. How? Well, remember the 1042 Sandy Springs glitch that we've been hearing? And then everyone singing Electric Avenue to Simone at the end of the last episode? Well, Simone pieces together that 1042 Electric Avenue in a neighborhood that used to be called Sandy Springs is probably where Miss Davis wanted her to go. I gotta hold my L here real quick. I said that I said it was 1042 Sandy Springs was gonna be the address, not Electric Avenue. Granted, I said that before the Electric Avenue thing, but excuse me. And I said that was gonna be the address for her dad, which is also wrong. But hey, fuck it. You win some, you lose some. I really minimalized what happened there. Joy makes Simone a sandwich, and I just want to assure all of you white people out there, if you are ever so fortunate as to be invited to a black picnic or a kickback or a get-together, whatever the fuck the black person in your life calls it, we ain't serving sandwiches. Not those anyway. You might get a motherfucker with some or some Texas toast with some pulled pork or some shit like that, but you ain't gonna get a fucking bologna sandwich at a black picnic. So maybe a black picnic for motherfuckers that invent AI, but not at a black picnic in Detroit. You ain't getting no fucking bologna sandwich, man. You gonna get some ribs. Never mind. We're not gonna talk about it, but that was an embarrassment to black people. That event that Joy was holding, that was not. She said it was her nana's birthday or some shit. That was not. That was disgraceful. You don't serve bologna sandwiches. What kind of shit is this? Some black person you are. Anyway, Joy tells Simone that her original idea for Miss Davis was meant for a Buffalo Wild Wings app, leading to probably, at least for me, the funniest moment of the season when Simone is like, so the wings were literal? the expiration dates were coupons? Like, I don't know why that was so funny to me, but then the episode gets kind of meta for a second, no Zuckerberg, and Simone is talking about how dumb this is. And we learned that 100% customer satisfaction is our holy grail, which, since that's impossible, must be why Miss Davis wants the grail destroyed. I mean, this whole thing is pretty ridiculous. Fortunately for us, we knew 7 episodes ago we weren't signing up for a serious show, so it's all quite fine. But Simone meets with Margot Martindale's Mother Superior character to drink from the Grail. She's already explained everything to Margot off screen. I'm just going to call her Margot. It's the last episode. It's my last video. The character hasn't been on long enough for me to have a name for her. If I'm supposed to call her Mother Superior, that's way more syllables and letters than Margot, so I'm going to go with Margot. She meets with Margot, and she has 2 requests in case she should die. One is to get the Grail to Mathilde so they can take care of it, and the other is to get Celeste to her dad to fulfill the promise, because she said, hey, I'm going to take you to my dad if you let me use this Lazarus Shroud, so that's her end of the bargain. Simone then decides it's time to go pray, because we all know that if she does successfully destroy the Grail, it's going to sever the connection between her and Jay. She's not going to be able to go to the restaurant anymore, so this is kind of like her farewell to Jay. She starts to pray. She goes to the restaurant, and Wiley is there in a robe, and we'll of course come back to Wiley when we talk about the Wiley portion of the episode after this. She cooks for Jay, which involves making the same shitty fucking bologna sandwich that Joy made for her 20 fucking minutes ago, that she just learned how to make 20 fucking minutes ago. And she's gonna disrespect, just so many, racial inaccuracies. We're not gonna give you a bologna sandwich at our kickback, our picnic, our get-together, whatever. We're not gonna give you a bologna sandwich. And then she's gonna insult this brown-ass man who's making falafels for people. He's probably making baklava, all kinds of good fucking foods. And now she's gonna insult him with the same fucking stupid bologna sandwich. And it's like, hurt people. We black people shouldn't have given that woman a sandwich at a picnic. And now she's walking around giving people sandwiches like that's okay. And I don't think it is, but I need to calm down. That's just not cool to give people sandwiches. Simone returns and to Margot and tells her that she can't. And Margot tells her that she can't drink from the Grail with the intent of doing it to hurt Miss Davis. She points out, because of the whole thing about it can't be done for selfish reasons. She points out that yes, while bad things happen because of Miss Davis does a ton of good, and she's grateful for Miss Davis. And this is where the tie-in to religion really starts to show itself. You can already see the references to God with the kind of like, yes, there's some bad, but it's mostly good. Like that's kind of, what a lot of people say about whatever their deity of choice may be. But Simone starts to ask her if she knows what Miss Davis was created for, and she doesn't tell her. But when Margot is talking about how much she appreciates Miss Davis, it becomes clear that just like religion in real life, this is the conclusion that I reached when I was a teenager, sometimes the purpose or intent doesn't matter, or it doesn't even really matter if the God itself is real or not. It's really just about what it does for people, like giving them that peace and that comfort. And that's kind of like, I landed at that place early in life, but I've since moved on from that because there's too many aspects of religion that cause people to act in ways that are very fucking problematic at best and really fucked up at worst. So I can't just go like, it doesn't matter as long as you're getting your piece of comfort. No, if your piece of comfort is coming at the expense of other people, then that's not cool. So I've since moved on from that stance. But that's kind of the stance that I feel like we're meant to take here, is that, like Simone was focused on, I feel like Miss Davis is responsible for my father's death. I've got to, address that. I hate her. I got to take care of that. And when you get like that, you only see the things that support your own hypothesis or stance. So when she's looking around, she's probably seeing people. This is what Margot says, like, you're seeing what you want to see. You're not seeing all the good that Miss Davis is doing. And that's what I'm saying with the whole thing that I thought. I see all the ways in which all the flaws in religion, and I wasn't really seeing, all the good that it does for people. And there are people who like, that's how they get through life. Like they don't understand they can't, they struggle to move through life without having an understanding of why they're here. I'm not inflicted with that illness. I don't need to know why I'm here to enjoy being here. But some people need that meaning, that kind of like mental closure. And religion gives that. Because they feel like, okay, I'm here for a purpose. A God put me here. And when I leave, I'll return to that God. And that gives these people this kind of like sense of purpose. Like Wiley, this, I am worthy. It gives you that. I don't need that to feel that way. But like giving people that is, I think the show is trying to tell us that good feeling that Miss Davis gives people is greater and more meaningful and important than the small little bad things that might happen as a result of Miss Davis. And I feel like that's the same thing that widely this is what the show is saying about religion, and to a degree is the real case about religion. But like I said, I moved on from that standpoint because at the end of the day, it doesn't end at that. Like where it's like, oh, it's way more important, the good stuff, the piece of the comfort, than the little bad things. I don't think there are little bad things. I think the bad from religion is significantly worse than a lot of people make it out to be. And I think a lot of horrific things have been done in the neighborhood. So I moved on from that. But I don't want to talk about religion, which I guess the last few minutes of me talking would, I guess I kind of contradicted that statement. But that's why I wanted to speak on it, just because I wanted to talk about what I felt the show was trying to say, especially because I built that up earlier in my video series here, that I felt like the show was going to have something interesting to say about religion. I feel like it did, and I just feel like that. I just want to say, like, hey, that, like, I see you, Miss Davis. I see what you're trying to say about religion. I was there at one point. I'm not feeling you right now, but I was there at one point. But moving on, Simone drinks from the Grail, and she gets a nosebleed, but she doesn't die. The Grail is ultimately destroyed right before Celeste arrives. Simone takes Celeste to her father as agreed, and we learn that the father did in fact plan to fake his death, but he ended up dying in the piano that he was hiding in. And Simone tells her that Miss Davis was his accomplice, but Celeste needs proof, which she receives while Simone has her back turned. And their scenes end with them eating together outside of I believe the same place that her fake parents took her to while Celeste and Monty were finishing up their magic tricks. And after Celeste says that comfort is no reason to ignore reality, Simone decides she's ready to talk to Miss Davis and give her decision on her existence. And in a beautiful scene, Simone has Celeste proxy for her, and Simone uses her meeting with Joy, Miss Davis's mother, to have a poignant conversation about the role of a mother in a child's life, in a daughter's life, that culminates in a beautiful scene where Miss Davis is apologizing to Simone, and it is also Celeste as the proxy also apologizing on her own behalf to Celeste as well for what she's done and for being a shitty mother. So I thought that was a beautiful scene. I like how they tied the. I saw it coming. Like when did she? Can you proxy for me? And she puts the ear thing in. I'm like, okay, Miss Davis is gonna say stuff that with Celeste saying it, it's gonna be like, oh, this is my mom's. And they even kind of built up to it with her saying like, when Celeste calls her Simone, she's like, oh, you never called me Simone. She's like, that's not me. There's that. But like that was very clearly what was going to happen. But Simone gives her a 5-star, 100% customer satisfaction rating, then shuts her down for only existing to essentially to satisfy and not to care about people. And chaos and sadness ensue, but Simone knows everyone is just gonna have to work through their own shit, and that's what it is. And that's I think in a looser way that also kind of ties into religion, right? Because if you're somebody like me who's moved on from it, that's the stance that I kind of live at now. Like, you work through your own shit while you're here, and then when you're gone, you're gone. It's not fancy. There's nothing like exciting about it. There's nothing like, oh, that's good. That sounds like fun. It's just that's just it. I don't like it any more than you guys do, but I also don't like the idea of feeling like I need to know the answer in order to move through this thing. Like I'm just gonna move through and do me and have a good time. So moving on to Wiley. The last time we saw Wiley, he was reporting for his expiration and nothing has changed. He's greeted by a transition assistant, a woman named Danny. Danny with an I. Danny gives Wiley this rundown of what the process of his expiration is going to look like, save for the actual killing. The only clue is a pyramid-shaped object underneath a sheet, which we are told is a model of the apparatus that will actually kill him. Wiley's fully convinced he's not going to die because of the horse explosion from earlier in the season. That might have been episode 1. If it was episode 1, it was episode 2. He believes the horse explosion was fake because his whole crew had actually bought Play-Doh, and he believes that Miss Davis wouldn't have gone to all the trouble of faking this horse death just to ultimately kill Wiley anyway. We then learned that Danny was the woman who visited Margot earlier in the season when they're all, I think it was the first episode. They're all going to take the jam or jelly or whatever, wherever they were going, and Margot's character, like a helicopter comes, and I put in my notes, some fine-ass black woman gets on this helicopter and shows her arm to Margot Martindale, and they leave together. Well, it turns out that scene was Danny feeling scared for her time to expire, and she wanted somebody, a nun, to come pray with her and be with her for support, and that's why she had picked up Margot's character. So she ends up chickening out. I don't really like to use the phrase chickening out for not wanting to die, but I don't know what else to say. She ends up chickening out if she saw the model of the apparatus, and she has to stay there at that place and help other people with their transition so they won't know that she reneged on her deal. We don't see it at the time, but when we return, we learn that the apparatus is essentially a roller coaster that will go so fast it will cut off the oxygen to your brain, giving you a quick, painless death. Despite having the opportunity to leave, Wiley says that he's gonna ride that bull. He's gonna overcome. He's no longer the cowardly lion. He's gonna find some courage. He's gonna ride that bull, and the roller coaster takes off. And the next time we see Wiley, he's in Jay's restaurant. He's wearing the robe that Danny made him put on, and he lies to Simone about getting a really good massage. But we know he's there because he's praying for his life on that roller coaster. And I thought it was a nice touch to hear the roller coaster wheels as he left the restaurant. I thought that was cool. Wiley wakes up quite alive and realizes that he is in fact worthy, and Miss Davis gives him one last mission, which is to return Simone's horse to her, confirming for Wiley that the horse thing was all a setup. And that is essentially how we end the episode, in the series, in the show. Like I said at the top, I thought it was a great show. Probably going to be in my top 10 worst case scenario honorable mentions. I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Was it for you? Was it not? I'll see you guys next time, and until then, peace.